What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Aaron Nix, and I'm back to give you my predictions for tonight's AEW Revolution. So if you don't fancy some crappy kickoff show or buy-in or whatever they're calling it these days, then you can watch me give you predictions for the next 5 minutes. So let's take a look at the card for tonight. And obviously, kicking off the show will be in the buy-in Riho and Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel. Don't care. If Rio and Thunder Rosa don't win this, then it speaks volumes about how they don't have a clue how to book wrestling. Nothing against Britt Baker, but come on, man. I love Rebel too. Reba, or whatever she's being called. But yeah, if Rio and Thunder Rosa don't get a win here, then what's the point? What is the point? Talk about using the discarded women from the tournament in a throwaway matchup. It is what it is. Now then, the Casino Tag Team Royale for a future AEW World Tag Team Championship match. I mean, I know that Pac and Ray Phoenix, I believe, are going to be in this. So they're my pick, and that's who I'm going to support, because they're my boys. I think Pac is the best wrestler in the world. I think Ray Phoenix is the best luchador in the world. So as a combination, they should be whipping everybody's ass. And I know I'm a massive hypocrite, because of course I have the tag team rule where two singles guys do not make a tag team, but they are sort of part of a faction, and also it's Pac, so I'm going to break my own rule because it's Pac, innit? Billy Big Bollocks indeed. I do know that for a fact, Nails, who watches this channel, wants me to do a Geordie accent to Death Triangle. That's going to be... I'm rubbish at Geordie accents, but I'll give it a go. We like Geordie, man. Death Triangle, man. How's that? Let me know how that is in the comments. My apologies, by the way, to anyone from Newcastle, because they're probably offended by that shit. Miro and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends. I don't care. Does anyone actually care about this match? Like, Miro is a tank. Wow, they have used him very poorly. Yeah, Miro and Kip Sabian should be winning this comfortably, unless there's going to be some sort of shenanigans. Chuck Taylor is awful, as far as I'm concerned. Good wrestler, but yeah, just every time I see Chuck Taylor, I think, wow, you're about as intimidating as a half-baked ham, sir. Sorry, mate. The Big Money match, involving Big Money Matt, of course. Matt Hardy takes on Hangman Page, and the winner will get the 2021 first quarter earnings of the loser. Oh, again, I'm sure the match will be fine. I love Hangman Page. I feel like he should be doing better at this point. I know that they're very slowly burning their way towards the idea of him taking the title for Kenny Omega. Maybe that's what's going to happen after this pay-per-view. They're going to start building towards that because, you know, spoiler alert, I think the main event has only got one result written all over it. But I'll go with Hangman Page. I'd expect the Dark Order to get involved, but I've got to be honest, from an emotional standpoint, I have zero interest in this match, and I feel like Hangman Page could be doing better things. And I think Matt Hardy should slowly be transitioning towards a backstage role, because his mind and his knowledge of the business, I think, far outweighs his use as a wrestler at this point. For the AEW Women's World Championship, Hikaru Shida defends her belt against Ryo Mizunami. Now, if Ryo Mizunami had lost the final to Nyla Rose, I would have picked Nyla Rose here, because I feel like we are long overdue a new champion. I like Hikaru Shida, but let's be honest, they don't seem to care that much about her. Otherwise, she'd be wrestling a lot more often. I don't know if injuries have been a concern for whatever reason, but for me, I am going to stick my neck out and say that Hikaru Shida retains. I don't think it makes sense to bring over a very, very well-renowned Japanese women's wrestler, but let's be honest, on the North American market, the majority of people have no clue who this woman is. So she's a pretty much unknown as far as the majority of the AEW audience is concerned, whereas Hikaru Shida, who admittedly was close to an unknown when she first came in, was built the right way and has kind of been ingrained in our memories as the better women's wrestler that they have. And I definitely think that she's arguably the best women's wrestler they have right now, because I don't classify Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa as AEW talents. Those are NWA talents. So I'm going to say Hikaru Shida retains, because I just don't think it makes sense for Mizunami to win the belt. A street fight. Oh, this is going to be fun. Sting and Darby Allin. It's Sting! Shut up, Tony Schiavone. Versus Team Taz. It'll be Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, I think. There are 5 members of Team Taz. This is a street fight, so surely they can get involved whenever they please. So unless there's going to be ludicrous shenanigans, which I think there are, I can't see anyone but Team Taz winning. However, as I believe there will be shenanigans, I have Sting and Darby Allin winning. Doesn't make sense for your TNT champion and the global icon, the franchise Sting, even if he is 61 and should not be wrestling at all. And I'm assuming this is going to be a cinematic match, because I don't want to see Sting working a 20-minute match out there. It's a street fight, you know? It'll be in the streets. And we saw what they can do, to their credit. I'm not particularly big fans of them, other than Trent, but Best Friends versus Proud and Powerful was fantastic in that street fight that had in the main event of Dynamite many moons ago. So I'm thinking it will go down this kind of route, although I don't want to see Sting wrestling, and particularly don't want to see 61-year-old Sting putting anything of himself at risk. I do feel that this could be actually quite an interesting and fun spectacle. So I'm looking forward to this match in particular, just because I love Sting. He's the greatest babyface of all time. Don't at me, because I won't reply. The Young Bucks defend their tag team championships against the Inner Circle's Chris Jericho and MJF. Surely Wardlow will be in tow, possibly Jake Hager as well. Obviously, the Young Bucks are going to retain. They're not going to take the belts off of them. I don't like this rivalry. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks. For me, what frustrates me the most about it is I can still enjoy a Young Bucks match. However, they have no clue whether these guys are heels or faces. 1 minute, you know, they're standing over Jon Moxley and everyone's booing them because they've aligned themselves with Kenny Omega. The next, Kenny Omega's assistant, Don Callis, is trying to get rid of them. And, oh, we're faces now because they beat up Papa Buck, our daddy, who looks like the world's biggest hipster. And I just don't get what they're doing. Like, I don't like the Young Bucks anyway. They're not my cup of tea. That doesn't mean I have a problem with other people liking them. However, it's hard enough to like them, and then you put in all this shitty booking. No clue. And I've still got a very sour taste in my mouth from the way they booked their rivalry with FTR. And I also think that this is where Sammy Guevara gets involved. He comes back, and of course he will interject himself in this match and cost Chris Jericho and MJF. And I'm sure we're going to be building to Sammy Guevara as a big single star, and I'm okay with that because Sammy Guevara is money. The face of the Revolution ladder match. Where did they come up with these names? Terrible name. For a future AEW TNT Championship match. Now, right now, we have, as confirmed, Cody Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, Penta El Zero Miedo, of course, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and to be announced. So I assume we are only going to have the one guy. Now, obviously, everybody's got their eyeballs on TBA because Paul White on Dynamite said, "Brr." That's pretty much what he says. He has the big scoop, and apparently AEW has a big money signing who has signed a multiple-year contract who will be debuting in this match. Now, they have to be very careful here because they've built up the hype, and of course, all the smarks and the marks and all the idiots are out in force, and they're saying, oh, it's going to be CM Punk. No, it's not. Oh, it's going to be Brock Lesnar. No, it's not. What about Johnson? No, just be quiet. The one that makes the most sense to me is actually the one that Carl Wilkinson suggested on our State of Wrestling address this week, which was an audio exclusive for anyone who hasn't listened. You can check out our podcast on all audio platforms. And he reckons that Big Show is doing a little bit of a swerve and he's going to enter the match himself. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can hear people from here going, oh, fuck's sake. Yep, I reckon Paul White might be in this ladder match. At a stretch, possibly Christian. They said it was a Hall of Fame worthy candidate, which would say, you know, that to me suggests a nod of, oh, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame, but he isn't yet. Christian definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. However, it would be quite depressing in some ways because I feel like we had that incredible return at the Royal Rumble, and this isn't me as a WWE mark speaking, this is just me from a sensibility standpoint. Surely Christian should be better off in WWE, you know, helping out Edge maybe at WrestleMania for whatever reason. I don't know, but I hope it's not Christian. I'll still pop, obviously, and I still want him to do well, and if he turns up in AEW, of course I'm going to support him because he's Christian, man. He's a legend. However, yeah, I don't think it makes booking sense. Either way, I think that overall people are going to be slightly disappointed because they build it up and build it up and build it up. There's way too much hype floating around. And of course, AEW fans are notorious, and I'm an AEW fan as well, but I'm pretty relaxed. And as you know, I'm pretty honest about what I watched, and I take everything to task. I don't think it's a good idea to make a big deal of this unless you've genuinely got someone who is absolutely monstrous. I don't think it'll be Lesnar, Batista, I don't think it'll be somebody of that caliber, but I will be excited and I will wait with a bated breath to see who turns up, because come on, you know, it's still a surprise, and it's lovely to have a surprise, and it's nice to know that the internet hasn't spoiled it. At least not yet. I also saw a video by Kurt Angle that he posted on social media. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Kurt Angle either. But I don't want to see Kurt Angle wrestling. The state of him in his last run in WWE, he just looked terrible. And don't tell me it's because of WWE, it's because the man is old and he's picked up an accumulative amount of injuries and he deserves a rest. Although I'm sure he will never want to rest. And finally, the exploding barbed wire massacre death match of extraordinary proportions. Kenny Omega versus Dean Ambrose. Oh, wait, no, we're not allowed to say that anymore. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in an exploding barbed wire death match. Oh, you've got a lot to live up to here, boys, because I've watched a lot of the old death matches. Now, they weren't fantastic wrestling spectacles, as you can imagine, obviously, but they were brutal, they were violent, they were bloody affairs, and they've done a very good job of building this, to be fair. I don't like Kenny Omega. Obviously, I want to see Jon Moxley murder him, and I think if it was a legitimate fight, Jon Moxley would murder him, because he's a bit of a fancy Dan, is Mr. Omega. However, Kenny Omega's clearly going to retain here. It doesn't make sense for Jon Moxley to win the belt back in the most violent match. Obviously, Jon Moxley's going to be a dad soon. It's very evident that they're using this as a device to write him out of storylines for a few months so he can go away and be a dad. And I've got no problem with that whatsoever. So I don't have much in the way of expectancy of what they're going to do in terms of a result. But I do look forward to the match itself. I'm very curious to see how it pans out. This is, again, however, one of those matches where you've got to be very careful. Any idiot can type in barbed wire explosive death match and see what it used to be like. If they don't live up to the spectacle of the old days, people are going to play it off as ridiculously carny. And obviously AEW likes to lean itself more towards a circus carnival variety of wrestling, and that's fine. But now you're expecting us to suspend our disbelief and believe that these two men are going to try and literally murder each other with explosives and barbed wire. So I really enjoyed their street fight that they had many, many moons ago. I think it was over a year ago now. I remember the one with the bed with barbed wire. It was a little bit silly in places, but overall I actually loved it. Loved the V-trigger when he smashed his head into the lighting rig as well. I thought that was very cool as well. So hopefully this is going to lead to something a little bit more next level and a darker version of Kenny Omega, because I could do without this unbelievably camp variety of Omega that I see in these terrible fucking promos every week. But to be fair, it should be a good pay-per-view. I really enjoyed Dynamite. I wasn't going to watch Revolution, and then I watched Dynamite and I had a good time, and I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll slap down 20 quid and we'll see how things go. So I will be watching and I will be reviewing it for the podcast. It will be available via YouTube and of course all the audio platforms as well. So if you're curious as to my thoughts of AEW Revolution, check in tomorrow and you most likely will have them available to you. I've been Aaron Nix. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is your final day to get 20% off right there using that code, 20% off of any of our tees at prowrestlingtees.com/WrestlePlug. And with that, I bid you a fair adieu. I've been Aaron Nix, and I shall see you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.